are not joking about that on the podcast.
Yeah, it was the next thing I was going to say is not being said.
Well, I mean, there's no other way to get you guys to knock it off. So
yeah, all Dave has to do for us to bring this back to a level of appropriateness for recording is to just hit the record button, and then Jake and I immediately stop.
But he's not wrong. Speaking of recording, guess what we're recording?
A podcast!
Yeah! It's called the Tire Preference Podcast. And we're
Woo-hoo!
back after another short break.
We took another short break. Life's been hectic for me in a good way. I will make an announcement about it on when everything becomes more official, but I'll give you the teaser. I'm getting a new podcasting studio.
Yep.
good news.
Yeah, so I've had to do a lot of shit during the week. So
Right.
Hey,
So,
no worries. It was off season, which is
What?
coming to a close.
when was the last time we said that it's a race week?
Fucking seems
seems
like
like
an
years
eternity
ago now.
It
Fucking
was
feels like
when I
forever.
first got here in Florida. I think
Well,
we
hey,
watched like one or two races, and then
Gents, we are
End season.
getting a very big thing right now.
I've
First
been
off,
in Florida for that
Welcome to the
long.
Tire Preference Podcast.
welcome.
Hi, hello. What's up?
I am Jake, along with Tyler
Hi.
and Dave.
Hello.
And we're here to talk to you about some Formula One stuff on a Formula One race weekend.
Woo!
About damn time.
About damn time. Yes, preseason testing is over. And starting...
So is McLaren's season.
Yes, but we'll get to that. But starting in a day or two, we're going to have our first practice sessions and then qualifying and then finally the race. So that means on this race, you're going to get something that hasn't happened in a long time, race predictions. And you're going to get an extra special prediction thing from us because we're doing our season I almost said predictions. Predictions.
Oh man,
Also-
I totally forgot we were doing that. So this is going to be a totally off the cuff for me.
Off
Yeah.
the chain.
Also, Drive to Survive is out, and I have seen none fucking episodes of it so far.
I watched
Yeah,
most of the first episode.
We haven't either because we don't have Netflix at the moment.
Oof.
So, we'll talk about it, but I've been seeing some things said about it on the internet, and I probably just won't watch this season.
Why?
But something.
I mean, I'll watch it for entertainment value, but I already know what happened, and I already know what the coolest parts, and I already know all the goodness.
Well, they skip a lot of the goodness. Let's just talk about Drive to Survive. Let's start off with talking about Drive to Survive.
None of us have watched any of it. So I don't know what
I
the fuck are we supposed to talk about it?
Well, I got some things to talk about. So the first episode opens up with just the way I would have opened an episode of Drive to Survive. Like, this is how I would have done it. You have Matteo Benito and Gunther Steiner in a small Fiat driving around the countryside, and they're just ripping on each other, and it's great. And then they do like this whole breakdown of like Gunther, and they talk about Kevin Magnussen coming back, and they do like this montage of just Gunther freaking out. And so there's like one episode where Magnussen like slams Gunther's door a couple seasons ago because he's pissed off.
Smashed my door.
He smashed my door. It's just like the funniest fucking thing.
Yeah, it's like you normally see someone say like, "Oh, he Hulk smashed my door," but since it's Gunther, he fuck smashed it.
He fuck smashed my door. So that's great. Max Verstappen does interviews.
Yeah, I heard he was getting on board the Netflix train.
Yeah, he's back now.
Yeah.
And I've also heard that they talk very little about Brazil. They don't talk very much about Russell's first dub. They don't talk about Magnussen's pole. They don't talk about Vettel retiring.
I heard all that, and it really, really infuriated me.
It's like, what the fuck else is there to
There are
talk about?
huge high points in the season.
Oh, they also don't talk about that one race where Max didn't let Sergio pass him, which I think was Brazil.
Yeah.
Maybe that was a stipulation of Max doing interviews. Is they don't.
Yeah, no
mention that.
shit. It's like, why is there no questions about Brazil?
Right.
No questions.
Well, I heard they also, but the things they did mention were Ferrari's poor strategies and pits. Uh,
Does Red Bull own Netflix now?
Probably.
Let's just talk about how everyone else sucks.
oh man. Well,
Goodness.
I'll watch it, but like I said, I've already seen and I know they add too much drama and they don't cover like I saw it the last time when I actually watched a full season and then watched a full season Drive to Survive of that season. I was like, that they missed a lot and they
Right.
really up the driver drama where there's not really anything there. And yeah.
Yeah. Or my favorite is still like when Roman Grosjean had his crash and he was in the car for 10 fucking minutes.
Yeah.
Or like Lewis Hamilton's 10-second penalty that took like 90 seconds. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's like what was somebody saying that it's kind of geared towards an audience of bringing in fans, like bringing in a new audience to F1, but not really geared towards actual F1 fans.
Oh,
I
they're
can see
100%.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. And one thing that really, I don't know why this irritates me so much about the show, but it always has ever since the first season, is when they're showing like stock footage of like the race or something like that, they have that random, his name is commentator number 3, and I'm doing the air quotes, that will narrate exactly what's happening on the TV. And it annoys the absolute piss out of me because I was like, I watched that race and I know every one of the commentators. That voice is not one I recognize, and no one ever goes, "Oh, that's Magnussen going around turn 4."
Well, is it the F1 TV commentators?
No, this is definitely something that they do voiceover work on because everything that they show is way too specific. Like this, it's more specific than you would go on a TV thing.
I gotcha. So they just add in some commentation to up the drama
to say the right thing at the right time
to play along with their story. And
yes,
I gotcha.
Drive the narrative, I think, is the professional term.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I don't know why, but it just annoys the hell out of me.
And then you get these,
like I said, well, you got the facts, so
you also get this great like when they're adding to the intensity of it, they always use Will Buxton for it, and it's always just like
dramatic pause.
If you want to win an F1, you have to cross the finish line first.
Yeah, he's the fucking John Madden of F1.
In order to do that, you have to make it through 52 laps. Yeah, exactly. He's the John Madden of F1.
I really got tired of Will Buxton after I followed him on Twitter. And just like all the shit he tweets, and he's just like so passionate about all the things that he cares about that it's almost fucking annoying, especially when they're like mass tragedies. Like there was some kind of shooting. I don't remember if it was the one in Texas or something, but there was a shooting in America, and it's really fucked up that we don't just know them. It was just shooting number 10 this month, whatever.
Yeah.
And he was just like, the U.S. government needs to do this, and you do that, you do this. And it's like, you're a fucking F1 commentator. You don't know dick about shit when it comes to guns in America, except that they exist and they can hurt people or to death,
Yeah, and like a lot of people. But we're not going to get political.
We're not going to get political. It's just he just annoys the piss out of me when he does that kind of shit.
Yeah, I haven't followed him on anything. I just like it was the really Drive to Survive was when I started like getting a little irritated about like everything. It's like they cut to him. And it's always like to win, you've got to be number 1. And it's like it's always that they always kind of do it in the same way where he's just kind of like taken back on his thoughts for a second. He's just like,
yeah, it's dramatic pause, man.
Yeah, it's the dramatic pause, but he sounds like, like he's just trying to gather his thoughts, and they're just like his brain's going, say smart words.
Right. You need to change your tires when your tires get old.
Yeah. In order to do a fast pit stop, you have to change all of your tires before everyone else does.
To make the car go down the track, you have to hit the pedal on the right side.
In order to make it through a turn, you have to hit the brakes, but you have to hit the brakes after your competitor.
Can you imagine him in a fast food
Just
drive-through?
I would like a burger with cheese, but no lettuce.
I would like a burger
cure
with
my
cheese, but not a cheeseburger.
in order to quench my thirst, I would like a large Sprite.
He would
Ooh,
be
that
a
does sound
Sprite
really
drinker.
good right now.
Yeah.
I love some
Yeah.
Sprite.
He sounds
What
like
is
a-
that
can I
supposed to
get-
mean, Jake?
No, he
It
sounds
means
like a
whatever
guy.
you want it to mean. I just feel like, if I
I get a
was
water
invited to
with
a
a lemon?
Buxton's house and I was like, "Hey man, I'm thirsty." He's like, "Oh, do you want a beer?" And I'm like, "Sure." And he opens his fridge. There's beer in there, milk, orange juice, whatever. But there's also a full 12 pack of Sprite.
He's probably got an entire room for all the fucking bracelets he wears too. Dave, you have one bracelet on. Will Buxton's got he's got fucking beads and all kinds of other shit on there. He's got this. He's got the same vibe, just I don't want
Johnny
to
Depp
I'm stereotyping.
F1.
Yeah, it's the Johnny Depp or like the girl who had a life-changing moment because she once pet a heavily sedated tiger in Thailand spirit to her.
He is definitely trying to pick up women that make dream catchers.
Yeah. His house is probably just like multicultural as fuck. Like there's just something from every continent in every room.
Yeah. I need
Covered in
an
sage.
earth color button-up shirt, and I'm gonna unbutton the top 3 buttons.
There's a picture of him with a bunch of kids in like a rural part of Thailand, and they have no idea who the fuck he is, but they're all smiling.
Right. Because they think the white man is funny.
Because
Fucking Will Buxton.
Fucking Will Buxton.
I'm sure he's a nice guy.
Yeah,
He's
I
very
bet he,
seems decent
probably-
enough.
He seems decent. He's just annoying as fuck to listen to.
He seems like the kind of guy that like
which is not good for your career.
yeah, because that's what he does is talk.
That's all he does.
He also seems like
at it.
He seems like the guy who's got a picture on his wall of a tiger that he symbolically adopted, and he loves to tell everyone about it.
Well, I will say I was watching testing, and he did some up and down the paddock, interviews and not interviews, but just some commentation and whatnot. And he didn't ramble on and go too,
No, you're
dramatic.
right.
He seemed F1 enthused and test
I'm not
weekend kind of.
I'm not saying he accidentally got there. He didn't fucking Lance Stroll his way into his position.
But
like
we'll talk about Lance Stroll landing here in a second.
And you know what else did it? F1 the game, F1 2021. His part in that annoyed me too.
Well, so there's 2 kinds of Will Buxton. There's boots on the ground Will Buxton, and then there's Will Buxton when he has to speak just into a microphone that's inside someplace. They ripped on him pretty good in the very first testing. It was like the first 5 minutes.
They
and
called
the
him
commentary
the king of
box,
the
and it's
dramatic
like
pause.
Yeah, it's like Will, king of the dramatic pause, Buxton sitting here with me. And he's just like, ha 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 ha, I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Yeah. I like that. There's boots on the ground Will Buxton, and then there's loafers in the air Will Buxton. And loafers in the air is like when his feet are crossed. But he's like doing an interview, like sitting down. Boots on the ground Will is okay. I gotta ask everyone at least one question on the way down the paddock. And loafers in the air, he's just like,
is that sleeping? Is he sleeping? Is he looking at the clouds? What is
For
that
those in the
face?
audience, it looks like Tyler is staring at the sun.
It looks like he's trying to read a
Mercedes
billboard.
switching to black changed the whole dynamic of the team.
Yeah.
And it was a ripple effect that you could feel all the way down the paddock.
Everyone
That
knows
was a
why
good Will
Mercedes,
Buxton, other than the cadence.
why they changed their thing to black was because that's the color of woven
Carbon
carbon.
fiber.
They were
Yeah, I
saving
did say
money on paint
they're
and
like,
saving weight.
we're gonna save money by not painting the car so we can afford that catering that Red Bull got.
Yeah, but like, you know, if Lewis or George has one extra orange juice that morning, it's gonna totally negate the, you know, weight drop of the fucking no paint.
Yeah, exactly. Toto's gonna be walking around. He's gonna be slapping orange juice out of people's hands.
How many shits did you have today? You fucking go shit before the race right now.
Yeah, he becomes a wrestling coach and you got to make weight. Go shit. Go shit
Your
right
meal
now.
today is a protein bar. One. You can divide it up how you want. Yeah, so you know what are you gonna do about Will Buxton? But
he's a character. I enjoy him as a commentator, but
I enjoy boots on the ground.
Netflix ruined him.
Will Buxton. I enjoy Will Buxton on the ground. Someone else I enjoy on the ground is Lance Stroll because he crashed his fucking bike before.
Did he crash it or did Alonso run him over?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think we shared some gif about that. It was just like his dad was like, "Say you have to say he's the best driver," and then you see him driving down the road and sees him riding his bike and runs his ass over.
Let's just say this off the top before we get like too into it. Lance Stroll crashed his bike in preseason testing or before preseason testing started.
So he couldn't participate in preseason.
He couldn't participate. He is okay, but he's gonna sit out the first weekend to heal up, which is bad. You know,
So
it sucks.
What kind of injury did he sustain? Like, did he scrape his
I heard he broke his wrists.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, so I think it was like a over the handlebars situation. And I mean, I launched over my handlebars on my bike before. It sucks.
But and I mean,
you don't want to drive impaired either, so
no, you really don't.
You mean injured?
I mean,
well, if he's got like broken wrists, he's
he already drives impaired.
I know he's Canadian, but goddamn. Maybe that's the thing. They're like, hey, if you just don't house 16 beers before you get into the car, you might fucking do better. Just
16 Molsons.
Yeah.
Too much Canadian mist, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, instead of Arbor Mist, it's Canadian Mist. It's their version of like those weird like wine drinks or whatever.
Right. So the F1 website doesn't really have a lot of details on the crash, just that it was a minor incident, and it ruled him out of the 3-day preseason testing session, and they are going to extend that to the first weekend. So it's probably just a lot of precautionary shit. If it was an over the handlebar situation where he like launched over, I mean, anyone that's done this has been there. You put your hands out. If he fractured those wrists or even just sprained him really bad, which I would think is probably a sprain, not a break, if he's only going to be out for the first week.
Yeah, it's still going to be hard to turn a F1 car's steering wheel.
Yeah, exactly. So they're probably just being extra cautious. They want to make sure he's fully healed up so he doesn't do more damage.
I think his dad wants to test out their backup driver and just see, like, maybe if I have
right.
Yeah, he was fine 2 weeks ago. It's just they wanted to see how this other driver can do.
They just have a really good. They want to keep the tradition going of not starting a season with both their drivers.
Also, was it a bike crash? Did anyone have any video of the bike crash, or did just like Lawrence Stroll come unfucking glued on him for some reason when he's just like, Dad, is he gonna listen to everything I say? And he just like beats the shit out of him. He's like, you do every fucking thing he says. How about that? When everyone talks about him, they talk about him, the 2-time world champion Fernando Alonso. When they talk about you, they talk about my dumb fuck Canadian son who barely knows how to drive a fucking car.
He probably got mad at him and stuck a pipe in his spokes or something.
Yeah, flip him over.
People refer to you as the true value Nicholas Latifi.
That's pretty fucking low.
That's a joke for the American audience members.
Yeah. So at any rate, so he's not going to be racing this weekend, and their backup driver, Stoffel Van Dorn,
I think.
No. It's not. It's Felipe Drogovic.
That's it. Drogovic.
Yeah,
because he's already got a little time in the car and testing, and he's the obvious choice to go forward for race weekend. Hulkenberg. Oh wait,
yeah, exactly. I saw another GIF and it was like Hulkenberg running, and it was just like getting all excited, like when you have a chance to drive, but you realize you have a full-time seat this year.
yeah. Well, what was that, Jake? You were saying that you heard a rumor about possibly having Vettel come in and taking that spot for
yes.
that
So
race weekend.
I read something on a meme page, and I just got really excited about it. But it was saying that
meme page is your first red flag.
Well, I know, but I was a little inebriated when I saw it. That's why I texted like 30 times because I was trying to get it out as fast as I could, but I was like with one eye open, kind of a deal. And
one can dream.
Yeah, and so, but basically, what it said was that it wouldn't be out of the norm for them to call Vettel in to do a race.
Plenty of race experience. Plenty
of race experience. Has been in the fucking car before, you know. His race suit doesn't have any holes in it. Yeah, knows the team. Exactly. It would have been a really seamless.
His wrists aren't currently broken.
Didn't get to race on this track last year, so fucking.
Oh, he didn't. Yeah, I forgot he had COVID
right.
The first, 2, 3
that's why I
races?
said that they don't like starting the season with both of their full-time drivers. That's a new tradition at Austin Martin. They just needed
weird flex, but okay. Yeah. That
this is our only opportunity to get points on the board if we don't have our full-time driver.
Like, Dad, I really don't like this track. Can you kind of like
it's too
fake an
hot.
injury and
I
have
drove
somebody
there
drive
last
for me?
Year. Right.
Watch them get Seb Vettel and then they get a 1-2 finish. It's like
that'd be dope.
Well, they talked about that. Austin Martin looks really strong this year.
It does, though. I mean, in testing, it didn't start strong, but it came to its
really
own
strong
testing.
Because Lance wasn't fucking driving it also.
Yeah. Well, Dragogovic, whatever his name is.
Drogovic?
Was it the first within the first 10 minutes of testing, the testing weekend, his car failed on him and they had to red flag it and flatbed it back to the paddock. But it was out, I think, later in the day.
So I will say that now that we've kind of covered Lance, we can move on to the preseason testing.
Let's move on to testing.
Where our focus is.
We've ripped Lance long enough tonight.
We've kind of like the pavement did to his palms.
Yeah,
this year.
Kind of like his dad did to his wrists.
It wasn't a bike accident. His dad just pushed him down some stairs.
Yeah, his dad fucking beat him with the top piece of like a fucking floor jack. Or a hockey. I mean, they're Canadian. It could have been a hockey stick too. Let's be real here.
No, they're French Canadian.
So with a white flagpole.
Yeah.
His dad was beating him, saying like, "Do you give up now? Do you fucking give up now?"
You know, people give the French a lot of shit for surrendering, but if it wasn't for them, we'd be speaking English. They saved our ass in the World War 1812, was it? And in the Revolutionary War too.
Sure. Yeah. They helped us. And then in World War One, we helped them. And we've already had this history lesson. We already had this history lesson a couple of podcasts ago. It's not my fault that the French were so narrow-minded to dump all their resources into one defense. And then lo and behold, the Germans had resources to go around the defense because the defense wasn't like a circle, it was a line. But we're not going to get into that.
It's a different podcast.
It is a different podcast, and that we could just rip on them for hours.
I don't even know if I hit record yet, did I? Oh, I did.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. I was like, we've been talking for 20 fucking minutes.
So let's talk about preseason testing. And one thing I want to say off the very top, is you have to take everything you see in preseason testing with
a
large fist-sized grain of salt, because people like in the past, Mercedes are really fucking good about sandbagging I cannot
Yeah.
tell you how many seasons I watched preseason testing where I was like, my God, this is finally the year. Mercedes is putting lap times that are mid-pack at best and Ferrari is on top, only to have Mercedes go, let's turn it up to, 6 and then have them completely decimate everyone.
Yeah, and they're running. Sorry, I was going to say they run different fuel loads. There's different compounds of tires.
Yeah,
different
the
conditions.
whole thing is testing.
It's just testing. You're
They're
running
testing
through
out their cars, running through its paces.
Yeah,
making sure everything works proper.
So
times don't mean shit. But
Yeah.
there was oh fuck.
but
God
Red
damn it.
Bull,
Keep going.
real
I totally
good.
forgot what I was gonna say. God damn, it was so important
Real
too.
good out there.
Yeah, sure. They look real good out there in testing conditions. This is like the best conditions. Low
Yeah.
fuel, new tires, putting in
Fair.
pretty impressive lap time.
And I just clicked also, like, how like I bet the way for them to save money on development is they just use the same library every year. That's
Yeah.
probably why they do it. Now that I
What
think
did you
about
guys
it.
think of? I heard it mentioned a couple times during the testing broadcast. Max Verstappen did the first half of testing, and then Checo was going to get the second half. No other team did that. What does that say? I mean, that like they were saying it was showing Max is showing a lot of confidence because he didn't get to test the car under night conditions, but once he didn't, he didn't get to test the track and car under track optimal conditions after cars have put down a bunch of rubber. It shows a lot of confidence in himself and in the car to do that.
Yeah. And they'll also have, going into next weekend, because they're racing at the same racetrack that they were doing preseason testing at. So he will get the practice sessions under more race-like conditions to get a better feel for the car. But I mean, it could be just a really good car for them. So that's why he's feeling confident behind it. And there's not a whole lot of bugs to work out.
Yeah,
no,
you're not wrong.
They looked good. They looked good all weekend.
When they did like the green dye and stuff to see how airflow was going. So they showed a bunch of cars. It was all fucked up. And then like the Red Bull's very.
Yeah,
that deep cut impressive. Under the side pod just shows like the biggest green streak going through it when they had it on there. And it's just like, that's like the perfect little, there's no pockets of air just causing drag. It's just perfectly seamless flow.
Yeah.
Until a Mercedes puts its tire on the side there and fucks all that up.
Yeah.
Did you see the really pointy offshoots that are right behind the front tires of the Mercedes cars?
Yeah.
They said it was the anti-Verstappen
countermeasure. And they went side podless again. They shaved the side pods off those Mercedes still.
It does. Well, although with that mirror mount that comes out, that looks like a side pod intake, but all it is, it's a big wing basically to divert energy into their side pods, which I think they made the opening a bit larger because it did seem a little bit more pronounced. I could definitely see a hole like an intake. Over last year, it was maybe it was because of the silver car. I don't know, but it looked a little bit bigger of an intake, a little bit more of a, I don't want to say side pod because there was no pod there, but
right. But I get what you're saying. Like when you look on it, it kind of takes that same silhouette.
Yeah. Well, at first I was thinking that that wing that came out for the mirrors was side pod because it was so black. It looked like a big hole. So I was like, oh man, they got like their side pods like jutted out. But no, it was just the wings. It was like an aerodynamic thing to aim air into the side pods.
They do have a very big update package coming very soon to Mercedes. We're talking huge. And they released the details earlier today, but I completely forgot to read it. So I know, but it's gonna be like car changing.
I don't really get about the upgrade packages. Like I know teams talk about them and like, oh, we got these upgrades coming in upgrade packages. Like, so what's the deal with like the beginning of the season? We unveil our car, but it's going to change throughout the year.
Well, it's
So
because think of like the off season. It's really fucking short. So you have to do R&D and build the parts and make them available for the car for 2 cars. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of shit. So what they usually do is they make the car they can make and make it as good as they can with current tech. And then as new tech comes in, they just develop more and more parts for it. That's why like you'll have, halfway through like the racing season, you'll have some people get major upgrades. Usually I think it's like after Monaco they get big upgrades. Because that's just when they're available. They put them on the car.
Yeah,
And
it's like the teams do all this research and development and stuff, and then that's when they can deliver new parts.
Yeah, and it almost happens like real time sometimes too, where they're just using hard data from actual racing conditions, especially if it's a new car, new year. And then they can like develop it. So like say they're in like the first 2 Grand Prix and they're like, man, we're doing dope, but the nose wing and the spoiler in the back, they're kind of causing a little drag. So what if we tweaked it like this? And then they're going to R&D that as much as they can. And it might be 6-7 weeks later, but they got the parts made and they got them sent out waiting for them at the next track.
As long as they keep it within FIA parameters, they can tweak and modify the car as much as they want and keep it under cost cap, and they can just do whatever. Okay.
Cool. Do whatever.
Yeah, within reason,
Yeah.
There's still like, certain parameters on like wing size, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, they have those the new body style they have to kind of configure to, so they have to stay within those. Which brings up another thing. On the front wing, on the side walls of the front wing, now what was it? Mercedes got penalized for it a year or 2 ago for having something that sticks out on the wing, an aerodynamic thing, but now Haas did it, and they did it somehow within the rules.
Well, so if it was 2 or 3 years ago,
Mercedes
car.
doing it too. Well, it might have been last year. I don't know. It was somehow they tweaked it enough to be within the rules, and now Mercedes followed, and they both have the same kind of like within the front wing, another aerodynamic thing on the inside of the wing that makes it, I don't know. It's so technical.
Lots of big brain power going on in the engineering departments and whatnot.
Lots of nerds with
lots
pocket
of
protectors and taped up glasses sitting around.
Yeah, good teeth though. I mean, they have braces. So
yeah, that's true.
So testing, honestly, Annie and I tried to watch all of them, but I didn't realize each one was 4.5 hours long.
It's a lot.
So we ended up watching the first 2 sessions and the last session, and then the highlights of the others.
I watched the highlights, and I caught those the other night. So I had to do some overtime with a lot of sitting.
I read a few things. That's all I did.
I mean,
a couple spins. There was a spin here and there. A couple guys went off track. Nothing really eventful. It was just testing.
Yeah, it was just testing. But my biggest takeaway from testing is Red Bull still number 1. Woo! And that McLaren is. It seemed like they struggled a little bit during testing, and like they had to like rework like some AirPods on the side. And I'm not just saying that because I don't know fucking where mine are.
But even Zach Brown said that they were not where they wanted to be.
Yeah, they didn't hit like off-season like testing benchmarks or some shit like that, or design benchmarks. So I think that they're going to be starting this season on the wrong foot.
Yeah.
My favorite part about McLaren this year was all the like promo photos for the new car had the floor blurred out. When they unveiled the car live, they had a thing that was over the floor, so you couldn't see the side floor or the floor of the car at all. Like where the side pod comes down to the floor, you know what I'm talking about?
So they had like a draping over it or
deck,
something?
basically, like what the car sits on. Yeah, they had like a big thing on it to cover all the details. And when they did, so each team gets time on the track private by themselves, and they can do film and all that
That's the
stuff.
shakedown.
No one else can be there, that kind of a deal. And when they released some of the footage from that shakedown, the side was all blurred out. Not the side pod, but again, like this is the floor of the side. And so everyone's like, ooh, what's McLaren got up their sleeves? And then everyone saw it on testing day and it looks exactly the fucking same as last year. It's like,
They're just doing the fake out.
Yeah, the fake
They're
out.
blurring out that we had no good ideas.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
It cost him a lot of money to cut Danny Rick loose. So
Yeah.
which I'm sure he like after I know it's testing, you take it with a grain of salt, but after that was just like, ha, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
And then I did go back into our group message and see what you were talking about, and it was the Red Bull like case of Red Bulls, and it's got Max Verstappen and Danny Ricciardo on it.
With no Checo.
Well,
No
I guess who's leaving Red Bull at the end of this season?
No shit. They got Danny Rick back. They don't need Checo no more.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what's messed up is, I mean, even though I love Danny Rick, Checo may be a better driver, but Danny Rick brings in so much more sponsorship with Netflix. Is like he's the Netflix golden boy for Drive to Survive. What are they going to do now that he's not going to be in next season?
Well, at least it's a character, you know.
Yeah. I know it's going to be interesting because I do like seeing Danny Rick and Drive to Survive, and so we'll see. I don't doubt that Checo's probably got to bring his A game this season, knowing full well, like, hey, if you don't fucking kill it, or do what we want you to do, Danny Rick will be back. So I'm sure at this point they're like, hey, Danny Rick, are you cool with being a number 2 driver? And they grab his racing helmet and go up and down. They're like, yes, I am.
As soon as Ricardo signed that piece of paper, Checo knew he had to step his shit up.
Yeah.
The favorite child has come home.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
plus there's that bromance with fucking Ricardo and Verstappen anywho.
Yeah, they had like all the promo videos of them together were great. Like when they were driving the Aston Martins around the Red Bull Ring, towing fucking caravans behind them for the English listeners or RVs for us. That was good. I don't know. They always just had great videos together.
So another crazy McLaren news that came out is talk of a new engine supplier for them.
For McLaren? Who they're going to go? They're getting Mercedes right now, right?
Yes, they are. They're getting Mercedes, as is most of the grid, really. But in 2026, they're going to be getting
Ford.
Honda.
Oh, no. What?
They're going to
hey, Honda's coming home.
Honda's coming back. So if you're keeping score at home, that means in 2026, the engine manufacturers could be Mercedes, Ferrari, Renault, Honda, Ford, Audi, and potentially Cadillac.
Don't let me hang it.
Oh, yeah.
Porsche?
So, no, Cadillac.
Oh.
That's because I thought Honda wanted out. That's why they, for Andretti.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's why it's potential. So we could have 6. So out of the 10 teams, there's going to be 6 engine providers. And Mercedes is going to be making not as much money anymore.
Yeah. I thought Honda wanted to be done with the sport. I thought they were.
I guess not.
I guess no. They just want to be done.
There's a lot of money involved. I don't know why they want to be out.
They used to have a whole team.
Yeah. And then they were longtime partners with McLaren too. Like even as far back as like the 90s, like when Senna was still around. I think they won a couple championships together, and
they first got out of F1 because they wanted to move all that money that F1 takes to research and development on hydrogen cars. And you can see where that's got them. Did you even know there was a Honda model that runs on hydrogen?
I did not.
Okay, well that's because no one gave a fuck. So I think that was around the time that everyone was like talking about using ethanol from corn and all that stuff, and like secondary fuels were like really the
probably
big cheese.
Back in like 2010.
We're talking like maybe even earlier than like 05.
Yeah, I remember seeing something on the
06.
news about like a hydrogen car being developed, but it really didn't take off.
No, it didn't. It was Honda that was doing that, and they're like, "Oh, the only byproduct is water." And then you're like, "Yeah, well, whatever." I think cars that run on methane do better than hydrogen, but it's whatever. So yeah, they got out because they need more money for that kind of shit, and now they try to get back in with Red Bull, and I think Red Bull's just really hard to work for. I think that they demand a lot and they expect a
Yeah, they
lot,
do.
and they probably expect and demand more than some because you have people that make you know good motors that get you decent results like Renault and Honda, who's got a pedigree, and then they just work for Red Bull and they don't get shit done.
Mm-hmm.
And Red Bull did win races, with Honda motors, but they're still like they suck.
Yeah. Well, and Red Bull's they got their big new engine sponsor, like we talked about in the last podcast.
Yeah.
Which is also that engine sponsor
Sorry.
coming home because that was Red Bull used to be the
Jaguar.
it was Jaguar, and before that it was some other team, but they were all like Ford supplied engines.
Yeah, Jaguar ran with Ford motors.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
You good there, Dave?
No. I tried to mute it, but I couldn't. I couldn't
Flonase,
focus.
man.
I had
Flonase.
Get used to antihistamines. What?
Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm going to do it again.
So with like I said, with that, there's going to be a lot of potential engine suppliers by the time 2026 rolls about. So that'll be fun, interesting, and annoying to some. Because I mean,
I'm
we're
excited
only
for it. I think there
I'm
should be
excited
more
for it too.
options. Like
Absolutely.
right now, it's like, oh, okay, who you want to buy an engine from? Ferrari or Mercedes? Who's it going to be?
Or Renault.
Or Renault, and now you're going to have like a plethora of options, and like. Also, Ferrari and Red Bull's not going to have this massive amount of data that they can get of like how their engines are doing in different cars, for one. So it makes it a little
Mercedes?
more. Yeah, and Mercedes. And two, it's going to be a little like less, because right now you could put like a Mercedes driver in the Mercedes like track, I guess you would say, or like in a driver academy. You could go to a team that's supplying them, buying their engines, be like, hey, will you buy our engines, but will you hire this driver so we could develop them so that they can move their way past your bullshit team and come to Mercedes? You're not really going to see that, or you will, but you'll see it with like someone who's sponsored by Ford, or somebody else, or maybe they just won't give a shit. So then it's like the teams, instead of choosing like the people that have made I'm not going to say right decisions, but have like kissed the correct asses to get into like these driver academies, you might see other people having a better shot at it.
I think so too. And it'll be really interesting to see who takes advantage of some of the new engine suppliers. I think some of the teams that buy motors from certain teams are probably not going to not buy them. Like Williams, for example, is probably not going to buy anything that's not Mercedes.
No,
AlphaTauri's not going to buy anything that's not Ford.
Yeah.
And there were some rumors that AlphaTauri might get sold soon, but they've all squashed that. They say no.
Yeah, that was all dispelled. Yeah.
Haas might still buy Ferrari. They buy. Gene Haas even said in Drive to Survive, we buy everything from Ferrari that we can. Yeah, everything else we develop ourselves. But he's like, we buy everything from Ferrari. And I don't know, if you're buying Aero from Ferrari that was developed around the power plant, it just makes sense to have that power plant.
Yeah. But at the same time, I mean, if they're the American company, quote unquote, right. It could look good having Ford as a business partner, or not a business partner, but buy engines from Ford.
Well,
I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, and Ford, we have seen historically outrace Ferrari. So
shut the fuck up. You shut your goddamn dirty mouth.
Shut your goddamn dirty heathen mouth.
Shut your fucking dirty mouth. We
Sorry,
already broke that down about how it's just an asshole company that's coming for the one thing that people want from a family-owned company.
So I don't know. We'll see. I'm excited to see how that plays out. And hopefully it's just for the benefit of fans of the sport.
More decisions for teams to make, like more variety of choices to be had, is just going to make everything better. It's going to make it more competitive. It's going to make it more fun. There's going to be more drama. Like it'll be like, oh man, this team was really dominant on the Honda motor, and they switched over to the Ford motor. Now they're doing dog shit. What is? It's just going to be better. It's going to be more fun.
To say that it's 2023.
So yeah, the preseason testing is just kind of a fun, silly mess of people that like to sandbag a lot. So, like I said at the top of the segment, there, just take everything you see with a grain of salt. This is not indicative of what. This is not a prediction of what's going to happen throughout the season. It's going to be vastly different because if it was, Ferrari wouldn't have gone 16 years without winning a championship.
Yeah, it's anything we've learned from preseason testing this year, especially, is that Lance Stroll still sucks, and Will Buxton is going to make it dramatic as possible.
Right. And a lot of preseason testing in Mercedes dominant years made it seem like they were missing a couple of spark plug wires and running on like less cylinders, if you know what I mean. Very slow. And then
Hamilton did say they've got a lot of they've made improvements, but they still got a lot of ground to cover.
So it is almost as regular as the sun coming up in the east that Hamilton says we're terrible in preseason testing.
Yeah, that's true. Mercedes is pretty synonymous for being very, very negative.
Yeah, they like
on
to
themselves.
sandbag everything.
Yeah, they're very pessimistic. They're not an optimistic team.
So we're going to cut through the bullshit now, and we're going to give you our season predictions.
Red Bull, third-time world champion. Woo!
Oh, fuck. Why even? Yeah, you don't even get to talk. We already know what you want.
Wow.
Well, I mean, really, we could just look at the three of us and go, "Oh, I know what they're going to say."
Yeah, let me guess. It's our year.
You might be surprised.
Did you guys get that thing I sent you? And it was real quick. It was the comparison of like for F1 teams to football teams, and the Ferrari
I sent
one.
that to you before you sent that.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that. And my favorite was the Dallas Cowboys one, and it was the Ferrari fans, and just in quotes, it's our year.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
So to lead off my season prediction, it's our year. I think that optimistically, I think that Ferrari's really been putting the work in. Charles Leclerc's really been hitting hard training in the offseason. Carlos Sainz is a fucking phenom. And I think that if they don't get world champion this year, they're going to be that much closer to getting world champion. I think that their rise to getting that ship one more time is going to take a couple more years.
Just one more time?
To add to their massive pile of championship trophies. Yeah. So to get to that spot, it's going to take, another year, another 2 years, whatever. But I think that it will happen. It could happen this year. You're not going to see Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz out of the top 5. I'm going to say that.
There was a couple of races last year where Carlos Sainz wasn't in the top 5.
Well, they got a new motor this year. They got a new car this year.
He was in the top 1 or 2 of drivers that retired from the race.
Hey,
this is his first year with Ferrari. Give him a fucking break.
He'll be fine. He'll be fine. I think this year's going to be a breakout year with him in Ferrari. But my predictions aren't coming yet.
No.
I don't think last year wasn't his first year at Ferrari. It was his second year at Ferrari.
It was second year.
Whatever. Second year jitters.
Sophomore year jitters. Yeah.
Their thing. I think that
I just got a big contract extension. I'm going to slide on the track.
Yeah, it did kind of happen that way, huh?
I think that Hamilton and George Russell are also going to be right on top too. I don't think that they're going to be like they were last year. I think last year was a bit of a fluke, a bit of a fuck them up.
And I think,
I'm on the camp of Mercedes coming strong this year.
They're going to come strong this year.
They're not going to fuck around this year. I know that.
No.
And that'll be good to see see with like George Russell, because George Russell did very well last season. He was very consistent, whereas Hamilton was like, like up and down and shit. So I don't know. I'm excited. I'm hoping that George Russell gets at least like 2 W's this year, but like not enough to like fuck the championship up or anything like that.
So I think like realistic predictions is going to be, if I want to be realistic and totally objective, I think that Red Bull might pull off the three-peat. I think that Mercedes might come in third to Ferrari again. And I think that best of the rest is going to be either Alpine or, I'm going to have to say it, Aston Martin. Optimistically, and this isn't even really that far off of my objective thing, is I think that Ferrari wins the championship, brings the ship back home. I think that Mercedes either beats or loses the second place spot for constructors by a point or two. It's going to be a point or two difference, because I think that you've got the skill of Max V and Sergio Perez, but I feel like their hubris is going to be their biggest downfall, and I think that the Giants going to be toppled because they're so overconfident. It's going to be silly things. It's not going to be fucked up strategy call. It's gonna be like little things like that, like fucked up strategy calls or something where like, oh yeah, we could totally be on the tires for this long, and then something silly happens and they can't, or they miss out on a red flag or a safety car or whatever the fuck. But it's going to be a difference between a point or two on their constructors thing. So
all right.
In last place, I think last place could be Haas this year. I think Williams finishes above Haas.
All right. My turn?
Sure.
I think Red Bull's going to go for the three-peat. I think they got momentum. I think they're going to capitalize on that. Non-biased opinion, of course. My fiance is also home now.
Hi, Kristen.
Everyone says hello. I think second place is going to be Ferrari. I think that they're going to do pretty dominant, and I think that maybe Mercedes is still going to be a little rattled from last season. And then third place, I'd say, is Mercedes.
Right.
I think best the rest, as far as that goes, I think it's going to be a little mixed up. Like, I bet that you'll see Aston Martin and Alpine doing really well. Alpine, I'm thinking maybe more podiums than they have had in the past, and maybe a couple more wins, especially from Pierre Gasly.
Right.
I think Williams will do much better than they have in the past. They had a lot of momentum the last 2 years. I think they're going to keep capitalizing on that. And I think the team that's going to do the standout team for doing much worse this year is going to be the papaya team of McLaren. And I think they're going to be Papui this year.
Baby poops.
I don't know. It's just the pre-season testing. I know you got to take it with a grain of salt. I feel it kind of resonated with me, and I think they're going to be starting off on the wrong foot. I think it's because they had to spend a shitload of their development money on getting Daniel Ricciardo out of his contract, who I'm sure is like, fuck yeah, right now. Like, I'm back home. That team sucks. Yada, yada, yada.
Right. Well, so here's the other thing. Is like, when you bring in a new driver, you usually want to have a veteran on the team. And I'm not saying that Lando Norris isn't good. He's got the skills. But has he done enough in F1 to call him a vet at this point? I would say no.
I'd say he's seasoned, but I wouldn't call him like a battle-hardened F1 veteran.
Right.
No. Yeah, he's got a couple of seasons under his belt. He's a novice at best.
Whoa.
Well, wow. I mean, he's a pro, but novice in the field of F1 drivers.
Sure.
He's only been around a couple of years.
To kind of like compare to that, I think Charles Leclerc has been in F1 for a year longer than him. But because of the battles he's done and where he's finished, I would say that he's flirting with the vet status.
Maybe.
All right.
Like, I think that, like, so another way to think about it is like, if you had two teams on equal footing and you had Lando Norris as number one and Charles Leclerc as number one, and you brought in a brand new driver on both those teams, I think Charles Leclerc would have more to give to that driver than Lando Norris. Nothing against Lando Norris. I'm just thinking that, like, Charles Leclerc has more at this point to give.
I think
right now, yeah.
I'd say that he has been he has spent more time battling the likes of Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton up towards the front.
Right.
And we've seen his car, whether it's his fault or Ferrari's fault, shit the bed at really important times. You know, like he shunted it into the wall during qualifying in Monaco, and then wasn't able to start the Monaco Grand Prix because of that. So he's felt like the F1 lows and like the F1 highs of like winning races and shit. And at one point, like you're fighting for the championship.
And we have seen that he has really good racecraft too.
Yes. And Lando Norris, like getting back to that comparison, I think that he has experienced some of that, but not on the scale and as hard of a swing as, say, like Charles Leclerc has.
Right.
And that, so I don't know. Well, yeah,
we'll see.
That's my take on that. We'll see. I don't know. You know, it's sport. It's the greatest unscripted drama ever. Like, you really have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah. So, Dave, what's your season prediction?
Well, fuck, man. After Tyler's elaborate hee-haw there, I have, man, very limited. All right. Well, I'm looking.
To be different.
Obviously, I have a Ferrari bias, so I'm hoping Ferrari like gets their shit together this year and puts together some wins and some podiums, get some points up in that championship, get that constructors. Hopefully, fuck. After how many years, Jake?
16.
I hope he fucks too.
I think this is the 16th year they have not had a championship.
You know what? And honestly, I'm gonna go in reality here and say it's probably not gonna happen. Fucking Red Bull looks too goddamn good.
They got a lot of momentum right now.
Yeah, and I mean, Verstappen's got no pause. The dude's unstoppable, and as long as he's got a car that's competitive, motherfucker's gonna be in. You know, he's gonna be in number one every time.
He's gonna be one of those.
I bet
blue
you
giants. He's gonna burn real hot, real fast. Then
what was the record he just set for wins last season? Was it 13 or some shit?
Yeah, isn't that fucking crazy?
Yeah, I would not. I don't want to see it, but I mean, just being a Ferrari guy, I do not put it past seeing Max getting fucking 14 wins this season.
It could be.
I mean, Red Bull looks great. Max is in peak fucking Max. I see them doing awesome.
Yeah, I mean, to get like with the point that we were making about like people becoming battle hardened, he has also performed very well under pressure. We saw that in the last two seasons. We've seen that seasons before that, you know, if he's leading races and stuff. And so
dude is just to the core a fucking driver. He's a racing driver.
He's in veteran status at this point, even though he's so young.
What's funny is like, what is it? How long has he been in F1? And he's how old?
He's
the dude's he's like a veteran at
I think he's been 6 or 7 years now.
Yeah, I think he started when he was 16. I think he was 16
or 17, something like that.
Yeah, when
he wasn't old enough to drive in the Netherlands, but he was able to.
He had a super license, but not a license.
But not a driver's
license. Put it this way,
which he still had to test for, you know.
Yeah, and it came at a really good time because like Red Bull's backup driver not Red Bull's backup driver was Daniel Ricciardo and Danny Kvyat, and Danny Kvyat was quite literally monster trucking through people in the grid, like running into people and shit. So they finally they demoted his ass and they brought Max Verstappen up, and I think that's probably one of the best decisions they made in a really long time.
Yeah, and then Danny Kvyat's baby mama demoted his ass also.
Exactly.
I was gonna do the same joke.
For those of you not in the know, Max's girlfriend, what's her name? Something.
It's PK. Something PK.
Yeah, it's something PK. So she's the daughter of Nelson PK.
The casual racist.
The casual racist F1 driver.
Former
and prior to dating, former F1 driver. Prior to dating Max Verstappen, she was dating Daniel Kvyat, a former Red Bull F1 driver, and they have a child together. And then he got demoted. She left his ass and started dating Max. And I have to imagine that's so awkward.
He's
just like, yeah, he's a struggling single father.
Yeah, both my dads have Red Bull racing jackets in there.
Yeah,
exactly. Weekday daddy says he's better than weekend dad at driving.
Weekend dad can still fit in his suit.
Yeah, exactly.
Weekend dad's got a vodka borscht gut going on right now.
Weekday dad can still race under his country's flag.
Hey, single parenting's no fucking joke. Okay.
Hey, single parents rock.
Single parents rock. So
but I mean, kudos to all the single parents out there. But like,
let's
be real, Danny Kvyat is not fucking struggling as a single father. Like, I'm sure he's got a fucking shitload of money and he's probably set for the rest of his life.
Yeah, the F1 drivers, even the poorest ones, get paid pretty good. So let's move on to, since we've done season predictions, we're going to go on to the race predictions. Woo!
I don't even think
more
I gave
generalized
a
or focused. Sorry, what?
Yeah, you said that Ferrari, or you said Red Bull is going to win.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You got as far as Red Bull winning and Ferrari, and then I think we kind of derailed you.
Did you have anything else you want to say?
Yeah, do you want to finish your thoughts?
No, I don't think it matters anymore. It was pretty much Red Bull looks too strong right now, and I don't see them being dethroned this year.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Kudos
I would love to see Ferrari do it, but I just don't see it happening.
I gotta say, kudos to Dave for doing this podcast too, because he has to sit between Jake and I, who make it a competition to talk over each other all the time.
I mean, it's been since we were children, so
we manage. We do fine.
Yeah,
we can get better though.
I can't wait for a day that we do this in person and it's just like fucking 45-minute argument between me and Jake, and Dave's just laughing in the background.
There's a lot of like fingers being held up.
I would just be cracking up. I wouldn't be able to hold myself.
I just gotta learn to let some jokes go. I get like these jokes in my head, I'm like, I have to say this. It's already set up perfectly. I have to hit this punchline, and then something happens, and then I gotta interrupt someone. But anyway, so let's get to the race predictions.
All right. We finally get to some race predictions.
Let's go in reverse order. So Dave.
Dave.
Fuck me. Okay, so very first race, Bahrain. All right.
Right.
Well, obviously I'm a fan of Ferrari, so I'd love to see them start really well. But man, just honestly, I'm on that train that just Max is almost unstoppable, and his show in preseason testing, showing up the first day and a half, calling it quits. Just I'm okay. I'm ready to go. It's a show of force, and I think he's. I think Max is going to take the first race. It's just a weird feeling, but my gut instinct is Red Bull goes with 1-3. Checo's going to finish third. We're going to see a Ferrari somewhere in the podiums on number 2, and then hopefully Carlos Sainz. I'd like to see Carlos Sainz start strong.
All right.
I don't really have much else for predictions.
That's all right. I mean, you nailed it. So you got the top 3, so that's good. Do you have a wild card?
The Will Buxton dramatic pause in there too. That
wild
was good.
Card. My wild card is Piastri is going to surprise a couple heads and finish with points on his first race.
Ooh.
Points. 10th.
Nice. All right.
Go.
I think that we're going to see a repeat of last year, where I think Red Bull's going to come out very strong. You'll see Max on the podium, number 1. Woo! Probably maybe Hamilton, number 2. And then Charles Leclerc, number 3. I feel like those was a pretty strong show of force during preseason testing, but we'll see. And then wild card is, yeah, the young guns are going to do well, or not the young guns, but the like I bet you see Logan Sargent finishing the points and have a really good race.
Oh, that'd be
That's not wild card. I'm just saying that's part of my prediction.
America.
My wild card is that maybe Nico Hulkenberg gets on the podium. That would be pretty good to see.
Yeah, final
First time in
podium
his
for him.
F1 career.
Finally a podium.
Yeah, exactly. He's just been slowly moving his way back in the field from teams, and why not
From
be able
fired
to
to
All it
Yeah.
takes is a couple of spin outs, and you're on the podium.
He's worked
Yeah.
his way back from fired to test driver to full-time driver.
Yeah, exactly. From fired to test driver to backup driver to
Hey,
fucking
He might surprise us this year.
yeah. And if it wasn't for him last year, we would not have laughed so hard at Nicholas Latifi being in 21st place out of 20 drivers.
No, it wasn't Hulkenberg that did that. It was De Vries.
De Vries.
Yeah, Nick De Vries did, but it pushed. Yeah, I don't know. It pushed fucking Nicholas Latifi further back because Hulkenberg was also listed for having scored points and shit. So I don't know. We'll see. Those are my wild cards. Hulkenberg on the podium.
I like
Right.
it.
So my
That's the
prediction
wild
for the
card
race
I want to see.
is going to be so Ferrari classically is a very good first couple of races. They usually do their best in the first couple of races. So I think that we're going to see Charles Leclerc get podium and get first place. And I'm going to go ahead and say he's going to get the fastest lap as well. He's going to get the Grand Slam on the inaugural run. It's going to be Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton fighting for second and third. And then you're going to follow with Russell, Sainz, and Checo. I think that given the way strategy works and all that stuff, Checo is probably going to be really close fourth place, followed by Perez, then Russell in sixth, just for the top 3 teams. But it's definitely going to be Leclerc, and then I want to say Max and Hamilton. But I think that what's going to happen is Leclerc and Verstappen are going to be fighting for first, second, and that's going to open the door for Hamilton to pass Verstappen. So I'm going to say Leclerc, Hamilton, Verstappen on the first run.
That's pretty specific.
Yes, I know. But I got a good feeling about this. And then my wild card prediction is that Dragovich finishes higher this race than Stroll will finish the entire season.
I fucking hope that happens. I hope it's like 9th place, or Dragovich, maybe it's like 9th or 10th place, and the best that Stroll can do is 15th, and then halfway through the season, it's like, they have opted to not extend Lance Stroll's contract. That'd be so. Or they're they need a backup driver, so they bring in Nicholas Latifi, and then Latifi ends up doing better than Stroll. Yeah,
but no, he's not the backup driver for races. He's only allowed to back vehicles up the area,
right?
So yeah, those are my predictions for the race.
Yeah. It's coming down to the wire, and let's say hypothetically that Fernando Alonso's going for championship number 3, and it comes down to the last race. It's him and Max. They're like, "Fuck!" Okay, just as an insurance policy, we need Latifi to drive. We might need a yellow flag later in the race to make this happen.
We need a man. We need the most experienced man for the job.
Yeah. We need the king of yellow flags. We need Nicholas. Somebody call Nicholas Latifi, goddammit. Get him out of his fishing hut. We need this to happen.
He's the best fall guy in the business.
Yeah, fucking Aston Martin's Secret Service shows up, and they're just they're like, Latifi, we need you. And he's bagging groceries at his dad's grocery store. He's just like, I said I was done with this. I'm never coming back.
Bagging groceries. Come on.
Just all right,
he's
we need you.
Carts.
We need you for one more drive. And he's like, do anything for my country. And they're like, that's Not weird, but yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah,
Fuck it,
sure,
just
whatever,
get in the
dude. Whatever,
helicopter. Yeah,
whatever's gonna get your, whatever's gonna F your B there.
yeah, whatever's gonna, yeah, whatever F's your B, just get the fucking helicopter.
Yeah,
You say whatever F sure be.
yeah,
Yeah.
floats Well, I think that's going to bring a close to this F1 tire preference podcast.
Yeah, the cool thing is, like we have mentioned before, at the start of this podcast, in case we hadn't, the predictions, because we're recording this on a Wednesday, we will know if they come true in like 5 days, because
Right.
the first race is this friggin' weekend.
Race week. It's so good. It's so good to know the next Sunday coming up means there's a race.
The next time we podcast in 3 weeks, we're actually going to be able to talk about a race.
No, so it's the season. So we're going to try and do. So for people that are new or our old listeners, we're going to try and do a weekly.
It's Mom and Tommy.
Right, we're going to do a weekly podcast instead of taking these breaks. However, there's a lot going on in our personal lives this year. So that might not always happen. And if it's an off week, we might not get you a podcast out, but we are going to try our goddamnedest to record something before a race during the race week. So
there's going to be a 2-week period there where I'm literally moving fucking from one end of the country to the other. So,
right. But I think that's during a big break, so it's not a big deal.
It might be. Oh yeah, it's in April. So
yeah, when they have the Chinese Grand Prix, but that's dropped off. So we are going to give out our race predictions on race weeks. So if we podcast and there's a 2-week break, we're not going to give you our predictions for the race. We're only going to do that the podcast right before the next race. So it's fresh in everyone's minds. We all know what we said, and we can make fun of each other for being way off base because normally we are.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Our predictions are wildly biased.
Right. They very much are.
Yeah, it's like the thing is like the predictions are always like, oh, you mean Ferrari, Red Bull, and Mercedes are the top 3 of this race? Get the fuck out of here. No way. The wild cards are the fun one where it's just like, oh yeah, Pierre Gasly's going to crash into fucking everyone. He's going to win the race. He's going to be the only person that finishes the race.
Right. Well, there was a couple of times last season where I got so frustrated with Ferrari's performance. I was like, wild card, they win the race.
Wild card, they don't fuck up their own pit strategy.
Wild card, they don't fucking kill themselves this race.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. But it's all in good fun.
It's fun.
I like to try and be as objective as I possibly can, but it's hard sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes rooting for a team that just constantly shoots themselves in the foot.
Yep,
makes it hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's why it's the best unscripted drama that they always say.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we really hope that you guys will continue to listen to us throughout the season because we're going to be here for you. So,
except for those weeks we said we wouldn't. Yeah.
Yes.
This is going to be a dripping with the juice.
Mm-hmm. And with that, I'm just going to go ahead and say this has been the Tire Preference Podcast. I've been Jake here with Tyler. Go ahead and say what's up.
Hi.
And Dave.
Hello.
And if you want to follow us on social media that we really aren't that active on, but fuck it, go ahead and give her a follow anyway. You can follow me at the Red Kennedy 45 on Instagram and on Twitter. You can follow me at the Red Kennedy. You can follow the Tire Preference Podcast on any podcast site that you get your podcast from. You can follow it on YouTube if you want to do that. We release up on there occasionally too. You can follow it on Twitter at the Preference Pod, and that's really it for social media. We haven't done a Facebook page or an Instagram page yet because we really haven't needed to.
It's hard work too.
Maybe this season we'll see.
We'll see. Just if you're listening, give us a like, give us a comment. It really helps with all the silly algorithm shit. Yep. And go ahead and tell a friend about us.
And morale.
Absolutely.
It helps with morale.
It helps with morale. We like the likes. I would like to say we don't look at them, but we do. We like the likes. So it makes us feel happy.
I look at the views all the time.
Dave checks at least 3 times a day.
Yeah. Dave goes, we got another view. Cool. Yeah, we're up to
That
5.
was me.
That's great.
I did that too.
Yeah.
Tyler, why don't you go ahead and shout out your social medias?
You can find me at t.k.66 on Instagram, where I don't post all that often. But occasionally I do outdoor adventure stuff, and pictures are usually posted there, so you can check that out. That's it. That's all I got. Yeah. That's what's up.
All right, Dave, where are you at on the internet?
You can find me at the maximum_Dave at Instagrams. I don't post often on my own, but you can always find my wife and I at Featuring Next Friday on Instagrams, and we post often on our travels around the country.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you want to follow if you like watching people play video games and acting a fool, you can follow Dave and I when we do that on his YouTube thing, Schnickel Fritz, which if you go to the Tire Preference podcast page, it is hyperlinked to Schnickel Fritz there in the top banner, so you can find it that way.
The YouTube page.
The YouTube page. Yeah.
Yeah, I still need to go back and watch your guys' road trip video. I started.
I still got to do more of that editing.
We have a lot. There's like at least 2 or 3 more parts to that thing. And if you enjoy Red Dead Redemption 2, which I've been getting into again recently, Swamp People is another great video that they did, which is literally all ad-libbed off the cuff dialogue. We did not plan any of it, so that's another good one to give a watch to if you're into that kind of thing.
It was a lot of fun.
It was really fun. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and say keep within track limits.
Fuck the track limits, hit the gas. And fuck anarchy. Just go fucking bananas.
Well, yeah, if you want to live, hit those breaking points every once in a while, folks.
Hit those breaking points. All right.
Yeah, but what if you hit the breaking points, then you start skidding?
Well, what if you hit the gas and you don't do anything else, and then you just smash a wall?
You'll never smash a wall if you just keep it within the track limits.
I hit the fucking brakes the other day, and I almost slid into a curb going into the fucking Dairy Queen parking lot in snow.
Okay, so you maybe just don't look at your fucking phone and then look up and realize.
I wasn't on the phone. Kristen was just, casually doing the.
Blame it on the fiance. It's fucking.
I'm just saying that she was passenger princessing, and then I was driving, and everything was cool, and then I started going, shit. We were.
No.
We were a fucking quarter mile down the road from where we started.
Your whole life, you didn't go shit. You probably went. Oh, fuck, oh, fuck, fuck.
Nope. Kristen will confirm it. It was a string of me yelling shit. That's like, my wheels are cranked, but we're still going straight. Yeah, and there's also a dead bush in my... Yeah, there's a dead bush in my apartment complex from when I monster trucked over it, and fuck these people, and it makes me happy every single time I see it. I did that, and then on my last job, I fucking wrecked the hedges in a semi-truck at some other place, and I drove by it and laughed every single time I saw it. It just made me happy.
Right on. All right, well, we'll catch you guys later. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Perfect ending.